My name is Tanya Kaefer. I'm an assistant professor here at the university. My research focuses on cognitive development. It's about early literacy development and how kids learn to read, and specifically how what they already know impacts what they learn from books and how they learn from books. When I was younger, I think when I was like 12 or 13, I wanted to be like a psychologist. Which I think was a product of my obsession with the X-Files. But I didn't know what a psychologist was. I thought it was oh, tell me about that. And that's not what it is. It's the experimental psychology, which I did not know was a thing that I was oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I just didn't know it existed. I wish I had a really good story for what drew me to this type of research, but I don't. It would be really great if I could be oh, I had a friend who struggled with reading and now I'm dedicated, but no, that's not really what happened. I took Psych 101 in undergrad, and it was not like what it was on TV, but I thought it was great. So I was okay, this is fantastic. And then in the third week we did cognitive development, and I was okay, done, problem solved. This is what I'm just going to keep doing until they make me stop, and they haven't made me stop yet, so that was really good. So I kept taking cognitive development courses, and I volunteered in a lab where I was able to pursue that kind of research and or be an assistant in that kind of research and work with them. And then I was able to go to graduate school where I was able to pursue that sort of language and literacy focus of cognitive development and start designing my own studies and start really getting into research in depth. After that, I did a postdoc that I was able to do 100% of my time was in research. There was no teaching component, so I was able to do 100% just investigating knowledge development and early literacy development and how those two things are connected. And from there, I essentially came here. So I've been really fortunate in that every step it's been oh yeah, this was it. This was right. It was the right step at every point entirely by accident, which is very serendipitous for me, but I recognize is not necessarily everybody's experience in that, but I was really lucky. So the research I do is focused on cognitive development and early learning, and specifically how what you already know impacts how you learn new things. Things like reading comprehension, learning new words, learning new facts from books or videos and things like that. So the way I do it is actually really interesting. I have a machine called an eye tracker, and what it does is it takes recordings of children's eyes as they're reading a story, as they're watching a video, as they're doing whatever that you would do visually. And what we can tell from that is how much attention they're paying to something. Years and years and years of research have told us that we look at what we're paying attention to, sort of automatically. It's just part of our natural eye movement processes. So we can reverse engineer that and take a look at what kids are looking at as a way of telling us what they're paying attention to. So what I'm really interested in is how what kids pay attention to helps them learn new things, and how what they already know tells them what to pay attention to. So it suggests that part of the way we learn new things and part of the way kids learn in school is by building on that prior knowledge and using that prior knowledge as a guide for their attention. So that can be really helpful for teachers, especially in early elementary classrooms. I usually study kindergartners because kids come in with all kinds of different background knowledge. They haven't had a formal schooling before. So it's great to be able to see how what they're already coming in with is impacting what they're learning, and what strategies teachers can use to access what they're already learning or teach them things and build on that. My research impacts directly usually teachers as they're trying to teach kids new things. In that the more you know about what kids already know, the better able you'll be to target the information that they need to learn. It also tells you how you have to build up knowledge. You can't assume that kids know a lot about things just because you think they do. You have to know what they know so that you can build up on that. It also turns out to be really relevant for people like artists and video makers and authors, because the comprehension of their stories is going to be dependent on what kids already know. So they're going to want to target, especially sort of the information books, those kinds of books that have, tell you about things, that they're going to want to build on things that kids might already know, and that's going to make that memory stronger and that learning better. When I was young, I was always trying to figure out what ads, commercials, whether that was true. I thought that there was a way you could measure whether something you saw in a commercial was true or not true. And so I liked to work out those kind of things, which are basically just experiments, but in sort of the applied sphere, which is basically what cognitive development is. It's experiments in the applied sphere. So I really like that aspect of it. So theoretically, it's possible that I like that aspect of it so much that that's what drew me to cognitive development, that it's the same sort of interest that the two of them happen to share, and that's why I'm interested in it. I don't have enough self-insight to say whether that's true, but that's a working theory. Students who are interested in this kind of research should contact the psychology department at Lakehead University.